Good day everyone, I am Joan Lazona. So for week, we, the Group 8, will be going to tackle about the fisheries and aquaculture. We all know that fish have great significance in the life of mankind, being an important natural source of protein and providing certain other useful products as well as economic sustenance to many nations. The gradual erosion of commercial fish stocks due to overexploitation and alteration of the habitat is one reason why the science fish biology and aquaculture came into existence. The purpose of aquaculture: the utilization of available natural resources to increase production for per capita consumption and income, ornamental purposes. Lastly is the utilization of byproducts like fish oil, liver oil, fish protein concentrate, and many others.
Hello, I'm Crizza Jasareno, the first presenter for practices and system of culture when it comes to fisheries. So let's have a deeper understanding about this. So basically, we all know that because of some environmental issues facing by the fisheries sectors like overfishing, destructive fishing, and pollution in water, that leads to poverty and lack of fish supplies. That is why Philippines do aquaculture practices to prevent further shortage or overfishing. So what do we mean by aquaculture? Aquaculture is the farming of aquatic organisms such as fish, mollusks, and so on. This is the controlled process of cultivating aquatic organisms, especially for human consumption. So meaning, ito yung palaisdaan na ginagawa upang magpadami ng mga isda na pwedeng ipangkabuhayan. The most common aquaculture that we adopt is the pond culture, or what we call fish pond. So there are several types of aquaculture, namely freshwater aquaculture, brackish water aquaculture, and the mariculture. So these three types of aquaculture will be later on discussed by the next presenters. In order to manage this production, there are two practices that are being used for aquaculture: the fertilization practices and the feeding practices. First, let us talk about the fertilization practices. Fertilization practices is the natural food types that usually seen in the ponds, namely lablab and algae. Lablab grows as a mat on the pond bottom and is the most desired natural food for milkfish and tilapia. This organic fertilizer is first applied on the moist pond bottom, and to sustain the bloom, a maintenance dose is normally continued every single tide. So kapag hindi available ang lablab na maging pagkain ng mga isda, there is another option, which is the algae, na pwedeng ipamalit sa magiging pagkain ng mga isda temporarily hanggang sa pwede na silang hulihin. Moreover, algae is grown mainly as a food for milkfish and tilapia, especially during the rainy months and under low salinity condition when growing lablab is difficult. This practice is significant to reduce the buildup of any harmful organic waste. The next practice is the feeding practices. What do we mean by feeding practices? It is when the natural food in extensive milkfish pond is depleted and the fish have not yet attained the desired harvest size. Single ingredients such as rice, bran, bakery waste, snack food rejects, or commercial pellet feeds may be used during the last few weeks of culture. Since hindi laging available ang natural food para sa mga isda, or kapag kulang sa nutrients yung nakukuha nila, these feeding practices is suitable to maintain the growth for the fishes. This practice is sometimes referred to as modified extensive culture. So the feeds that we can give is only limited or estimated according to the body of the fish. If the fish is quite small, then the feeds are more than usual until it is fully in their body condition. Feeding is conducted twice or 3 times a day at around 8 a.m., 12 noon, and 4 p.m. It is like giving them breakfast, lunch, and early dinner. Since one of the sources of income of the Filipinos is fishing, these practices in aquaculture are essential to them and to us who consume it. Therefore, aquaculture contributes to the country's food security, employment, and foreign exchange earnings. Thus, these practices is growing faster than the capture fisheries. So my presentation will end here and you may now proceed to the next presenters. Thank you for your attention.
Freshwater aquaculture refers to the raising and breeding of aquatic animals and plants. Most common aquatic animals that are cultured are shrimp, fish, shellfish, and so much more with the economic purposes. With the use of ponds, river, reservoir, and other inland waterways, including the brackish water. There are three major systems. First is the open culture system, second the semi-closed culture system, and the closed culture system. The open culture system is the oldest and its paradigm is use of culture system as the fish farm. Capital expenses are low and less management, and the conditions are more natural and uncrowded in the culture environment. The disadvantages are poaching and predation are common. In the closed culture, water is taken from natural resources or groundwater, and it's directed into specially designed ponds and raceway. These ponds are artificially made. While the closed culture system, the water exchange and the water is subjected to extensive treatment to be reused. Extremely high densities of organisms may be raised under this condition. The temperature is regulated, parasites or predators are not found, and harvesting is simple. It is the modern way of culturing aquatic animals. And it is the most expensive on the three major systems. Under the open culture system, first is the cage culture, an aquaculture production system where fish are held in the float net pens, utilizes existing water resources but encloses the fish in a cage or basket which allow water to pass freely. Second is the pen culture, raising of fish in a volume of water encloses on all sides except bottom. Third is the raft culture. Connection rope are used to connect culture to floating rafts that is used during the growth out period, the period between transplantation and harvest. Fourth is the rock culture, commonly used where the sea bottom is usually soft and muddy and tidal range is narrow. Under the semi-closed culture system are the pond culture. This is the common method in fish culture, which the water is maintained in closed area by artificially constructed ponds. And the raceway culture is a culture chamber is generally long, narrow. Water ends at one end and leads through the other end in most cases. The closed culture system, the water recirculation system. The cultured water is purified by biofiltration and reused continuously. It is indoor and tank-based.
Good day everyone, my name is Cathy and Janoras, and I will be discussing the brackish water aquaculture. Over the past decades, there is a gradual decline in fish catches and bounties, consequent of pollution, overfishing, and upsurge in criminal activities that is prevalent in the region in the recent times. There are also issues limiting the expansion of brackish water aquaculture in coastal areas. So, what is brackish water aquaculture? Brackish water aquaculture is a farming system that focuses on the production of the quality of fin and fishes that are found in the creeks, lagoons, and estuaries through a rational breeding. In a very short definition of brackish water aquaculture, ito ay pinaghalong tubig alat at tubig tabang na kung saan dito inaalagaan ang mga islang tulad ng bangus, tilapia, mud crab at shrimp, at iba pa. In developing a brackish water farm, socioeconomic must be considered, and also it depends on the interaction of the socioeconomic conditions, cultural values, agricultural production, and environmental conditions in the area. Those must be considered before establishing a brackish water farm, and also knowing and understanding the physical, chemical, and biological components of the soil and of the water. Why is that brackish water so important? It is because it gives us a sustainable livelihood and economic venture in terms of employment, food, security, enterprise development, and foreign exchange earnings. And most importantly, it alleviates poverty and enhances the economic status of the region. That's all. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Arnel Lafuente III, and my topic is all about mariculture. Now, what is mariculture? Mariculture is a special branch of aquaculture involving the cultivation of marine organisms for food and other products in an open ocean of offshore aquaculture. An enclosed section of the ocean or in tanks, ponds or raceways, which are filled with seawater and commonly known as marine farming. Next, what are the advantages of mariculture? Mariculture is the farming of the ocean, fish and plants. Has advantage over traditional farming. Since the fish is controlled or kept in environment, it is easier to predict the output or the harvest. Also, harvesting is easier and quality is consistent, resulting in lower costs and higher profit. Some of advantage of fish farming includes creation of employment, source of protein, high fish yields, and the maintenance of fish pollution. However, fish farming is expensive to set up and contributes to water pollution. Next, we go to the process. Fish farming is typically refers to aquaculture in freshwater landlocked ponds, indoor hatcheries or culture tanks, while mariculture is aquaculture occurring to saltwater environment. Fish farming typically involves aquaculture operation for freshwater species and operations. Catfish, trout, carp, and tilapia are common species grown in fish farming, which can perform anywhere around the world. Several methods are used in fish farming, with the use of culture tanks as the most common. Large plastic tanks and can be used to raise fish from small fry to adult maturity. Competent water recirculation system are required to ensure the optimum water quality in terms of temperature and contamination, depending on the species and system. The fish can either be fed high protein fish meat products or allowed to consume algae grown in the tanks. Man-made or natural ponds are common in fish farming as well. Lastly, some aquatic species are grown in raceways that employ extensive water treatment and recirculation system. Next, let's go to the different types of mariculture. Different kinds of mariculture are presented here according to their subdivision by species types. Different types of species require different systems that have different characteristics and effects. Only the most common systems are mentioned. First, the mollusk culture. Broodstock or seed supply. Biped mollusk larvae are either collected from natural ground using material to which they adhere to produce in hatcheries by artificial fertilization. Next, let's go to crustacean culture. Broodstock or seed supply. In the last century of the global industry, rely mainly on wild-caught larvae or varied, egg-carrying females. Nowadays, there is a trend towards hatcheries. Growth out takes place in earthen, funds, concrete raceways, and tanks. Let's go to marine plant culture. This includes macro and micro algae as well as seagrasses, broodstock, and seed supply. Culture aquatic plants have complicated life cycle with several intermediate stages. The major source of broodstock is wild collection. The most culture is now dependent on hatchery production of early life stage. Monospores, zoospores, gametophytes, and sporophytes. Lastly is the pinfish culture. Broodstock or seed supply. The broodstock can be domesticated or mix of domesticated and wild animals. Most species are grown from larvae or fry produced in hatcheries. Spawning is often stimulated with a hormone application. Out. Cage culture can be divided into inshore and offshore cages and can be fixed, floating, or submerged. Inshore cages are located in protected, shallow areas with less water circulation. Offshore cages are located in deep water and open areas with less protection from storm but better water exchange. Net and fish pen are located in shallow water and their edges are anchored to the bottom. A typical fish pond system consists of following basic components: pond compartment enclosed by dikes, canals for supply, and drainage of water or gates or water control structures. That's all. Thank you.